It's time for some carbon-based gaming.
I decided not to tamper with the clamp. Those jaws looked like it could snap shut at any moment. The sign looked as if it was firmly attached to the wall. Anyway, I didn't really want it as a souvenir. I couldn't reach the wheel and couldn't see any point in climbing up to it. A sturdy chain and padlock hung around the door handles. The doors looked 100 years old, but they were still very sturdy. A sturdy chain and padlock hung around the door handles. This sign also looked firmly attached to the wall. It read, Condor Transglobal. I'd come to the right place. Now all I had to do was get inside. There was a little grill set into the door. The grill opened from the inside. The din must have drowned out the sound of my knocking. The din must have drowned out the sound of my knocking. Maybe there was a way in up there. The metal housing prevented me from getting to the fan. It was a duct from a ventilation fan. I wouldn't have been hurt over the din of the fan. I wasn't convinced that was the right thing to do. That did the trick. The fan clunked and shorted out as its blades were mashed by the boat hook.
Hey, you make any more noise, I break your arms.
That bully needed to be taught a lesson.
Garzak's already mad because we didn't get the stone. You give me any trouble, I'll tell him it was all your fault.
Karzak? That must be his boss. I decided there was a better way to attract their attention. I decided there was a better way to attract their attention. I decided there was a... Not such a good idea. I wasn't convinced. I decided there was a better way. The boat hook was jammed in the dented fan blades. The clamp consisted of two metal jaws which would close when weight was applied to them. A fine old oak barrel. The window was jammed shut.
Who is it?
Is this Condor Transglobal?
Nobody here. Go away.
I'll give you 5 seconds to let me in, or I'll bust down the door.
Okay. I'm coming.
He didn't sound too happy. The only interesting thing I found was a small brass key. Among the paperwork which adorned the notice board was something which caught my eye. It was a delivery note from Condor Transglobal, and the address was Coromante City. There was a notice board beside the desk with an assortment of paperwork on it. There was nothing else of any interest on the notice board. I'd already searched the drawer. It was locked. The little brass key didn't fit the lock. I'd need a crowbar or a stick of dynamite to open that cabinet, but I wasn't here to check out the filing system. The boat hook was jammed in the dented fan blades. Whoa! Don't shoot! The little guy had a blowpipe. That confirmed my suspicions about what had happened to Nico. I waited for him to shoot me, but it didn't happen. Instead, he seemed to want to tell me something. What? What do you want? He seemed excited, almost desperate. What did he want so bad? Hi. I'm not going to hurt you.
Quaramonte!
Is that where you're from? Coramonte City?
Quaramonte! Quaramonte!
Okay. I didn't think he'd be interested. What does this key unlock?
Huh?
Hey, you're manacled. Who did this? That big thug? I'm gonna set you free, okay? Hey, come back here! The little guy had gone to ground amongst the stack of crates. All the crates were firmly sealed. The room was filled with transglobal crates. It was the button to call the elevator. Just in time. Interrupting the beam of light kept the doors from closing and stopped anyone from using the elevator. But what now? That wouldn't work. No. No, that's wrong. That wouldn't work. I'd better think this through. It was a device to prevent the elevator doors closing when they were obstructed. The label just wasn't sticky enough to stay in place. I'd better think this through. Nope. Not such a good idea. No. That isn't it at all. Holding my hand in front of the eye would stop the doors from closing, but I couldn't stay like that forever. There. That would keep the doors from closing. I was wrestling with the small crate when I noticed the label on its side. Danger. Live contents do not drop. The crate was labeled Danger. Live contents do not drop. There were small holes in the top and sides and scratchy noises coming from inside. No chance. Whatever those crates contained, they were heavy. There wasn't enough room to move the handle. The statue looked as if it was Central or South American in origin. The statue looked way too heavy for me to move. I didn't want to risk dropping the crate and releasing its live contents. There wasn't much I could do with a pulley that didn't have any rope. A sturdy beam was jammed across the doors. These doors were not going to open. There was no way to open that window. I realized the doors must lead to a loading platform high above the dockside. It was the set of manacles I'd removed from the little Indian's ankles. The short chain stopped the cuffs reaching from the statue to the winch. No, that's wrong. That isn't it at all. That isn't it at all. There wasn't much I could do with a pulley that didn't have any rope. Nothing happened. That was probably because the elevator was already on this floor. There was an arc-shaped scratch on the floor, as if a door had been opened in the nearby wall. My fingers traced the outline of a secret door in the wall. Then I found a small round stud, which was set flush to the surrounding wooden paneling. Just as I'd hoped, a secret room. Nico! There, how you feeling?
Oh, thanks, Georges. How on earth did you find me?
I knew Oubier had been in Marseille. But never mind about me. How about you tell me exactly what's going on, starting with that Mayan stone?
I picked it up from one of Karzak's men in Paris. I was expecting a consignment of narcotics.
Drugs?
Yes. The proof I needed to expose Karzak's smuggling operation. I'd set it up to act as his courier, and once I had the proof, I planned to go straight to Inspector Mou. But instead of the dope I'd expected, they sent me that stone instead. And to find out more, I called Professor Oubier, who invited me to his mansion. At least, I thought it was Oubier.
I don't get it. If Karzak's business is drugs, why is he so desperate to get his hands on that stone?
Maybe it has some significance to the local people in Central America. It could be Karzak's means of getting them to work for him. Anyway, we've got to get out of here.
Nico, wait! I decided to keep the masking tape. It was bound to be of some use to me. We can't use the elevator. If that thug Pablo's recovered, he'll be waiting for us.
We've got to do something. Where does that door lead to?
I'm not sure. It would be much easier to attach the rope to the statue first. The rope wasn't long enough to reach the pulley. There wasn't enough room to move the handle. The statue looked way too... The rope wasn't long enough to reach the pulley. I found these in your bag.
Oh, they were a gift.
I know. I read the note.
God knows what was going through Andre's mind.
I think that's quite plain enough. Look, the little guy downstairs was chained up with these.
That must have been Pablo's doing. I don't blame him, though. That little guy is dangerous.
You're still sore about that poison dart?
Of course I'm sore.
Did you know Oubier's wife was a film star?
No, I didn't know he was married. What happened to her?
She died. In mysterious circumstances, apparently.
How mysterious.
I heard she was murdered. Possibly by Oubier himself.
A murderer, huh? Andre said he was something of a celebrity.
Have you any idea who this little statue is supposed to be?
I'm not very well acquainted with Mayan deities, Georges. But whatever his name, he sure is ugly.
Did that Indian guy mistreat you?
If you forget about the abduction, verbal threats, and bondage, no.
Well, what about the little guy?
I don't think he knows where he is or what he's doing here. The big guy, Pablo, he brought Titipoco from the jungle.
Titty what?
Titipoco. That's what I heard Pablo call the dwarf.
Okay. Tell me what you know about Condor.
Condor Transglobal exports Aztec and Mayan relics from Central America to Europe. But that's just a cover for the real business. Drug smuggling.
What proof do you have?
Nothing yet.
Do you know where Condor is based?
In Central America. A place called Quaramonte.
I saw that name on a docket downstairs. Tell me about this Karzak guy.
Well, I saw him for only a few minutes, but he frightened me. I got the impression that Pablo was nervous when he was around too. His eyes, they're like a wild animal's, like a tiger. That's what scared me most about him. He looked so unpredictable and dangerous.
Did I hear you refer to Inspector Moo?
Yes, you remember him?
Of course I do. But I thought he was dead.
Oh no, he reappeared after the broken sword case had blown over. When he found out who was in with the Neo-Templars, he went into hiding. Moo knew more than was good for him.
Does he know about our involvement with the case?
If he does, he's not telling. Still, he got a sudden promotion.
Do you recognize this?
Is that the dart which knocked me out?
That's right. I kept it as a souvenir. I didn't want to risk dropping the crate and releasing its live contents. The rope wasn't long enough to reach the pulley. No chance. Whatever those crates contained, they were heavy. was nothing else I wanted to talk to Nico about at that time. I'd better think this through. That isn't it at all. That wouldn't work. No. It was a flint carving of a grotesque figure with large, evil eyes. Hopefully, the tape would prevent those doors from closing and stop the Indian from being able to call the elevator. The pallet rose about 6 inches off the floor, and I said a silent prayer to whoever had discovered the power of hydraulics,
What on earth are you doing?
trying to raise the statue so I can hook it to that pulley.
Is that really going to help us?
I like to keep myself occupied in times of stress. The statue looked way too heavy for me to move. I didn't want to remove the rope from the pulley. It was too heavy for me to move on my own. Could you give me a hand to push this statue?
What for?
This, my dear, is our passport to freedom.
If you say so, dear.
Okay, push! Great teamwork.
Nice to be working with you again, Mr. Stobbart.
There was nothing else I wanted to talk to Nico about at that time. Nico, I have a great idea.
Josh, where have you been?
Never mind that. Do you have the Mayan stone?
Maybe I have, but
Don't argue, André. Give the stone to George.
Well, of course. If you say so, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Andre.
George, he told me you'd been kidnapped, my dear. I'm glad to see he was mistaken.
Oh, but it was true. If it hadn't been for George, I wouldn't be here now.
It's not finished yet. Karzak's thugs will be back for that stone, you can bet. The best lead that we have is Coramonte City.
Coramonte? It's in Central America. That's where Ubier gets his artifacts.
That's all we needed to know. Come on, George.
Quaramonte, the traveler's rear entrance to Central America. Well, that's how it was translated in the brochure. We didn't know what we were looking for, but the offices of Condor Transglobal seemed a good place to start.
Hey, it's market day. I don't see any cabs. Let's ask someone how to get to Quaramonte City.
Okay. Keep your eyes peeled for any sign of Condor Transglobal. Now, I like most animals, but experience had made me wary of goats, and cats, and dogs. In Quaramonte, defacing a poster was probably a capital offense.
Hey, Nico!
Hola, señora.
Hi. We were wondering...
I was talking to the lady, Chico.
Hi, my name is Nicole Collard.
Concha Garcia. How can I help you, sister?
The corporation I represent is considering a major investment in Quaramonte. Your advice, as the head of an obviously successful concern, is precisely what I'm after. My assistant, Mr. Stobbart, has a few questions he'd like to ask you.
Have you heard of a man named Karzak?
No? Who is he?
He's the reason we came to Quaramonte. We think he's running a drug ring.
Well, I hope you find him, but I've never heard the name before.
Would you like a dog biscuit?
Would you like a smack in the mouth, Chico?
Does this stone mean anything to you?
I think it is a spirit stone carved by a Mayan priest, no? I don't know which of their many gods it represents.
Can you tell me anything about this statue?
It is Tezcatlipoca, the god of death and pestilence. That fetish would be considered by many to be a bad omen.
Do you recognize the icon on this label?
Condor Transglobal.
Did the company operate here in Quaramonte?
Yes, they ran an old container ship, the Mayan Princess.
Do you know who owned Condor Transglobal?
I've no idea.
You see this? It's my lucky piece of coal.
What's so lucky about it?
I'm not sure yet.
Nice buns.
Have you heard about the forthcoming eclipse?
I don't take much interest in things like that. One of the boys might know about it.
Would you be interested in these panties? They look about your size.
Is that your best line, Chico?
I'm serious. They were an unwanted gift.
Put them away before you get overexcited.
Hi.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Consolidated Mining. If you are planning to stay in Cuaramonte City, may I recommend the Consolidated Mining Experience, an interactive hands-on tour of one of our deepest mines, with talking tour guides available in 3 different languages.
A tour of a mine.
Well, this is a mining company. What else did you expect?
Do you know anything about the eclipse that's due soon?
Me? No, senor.
Do you know where I could find Senor Karzak?
No, senor.
How come you're not wearing any pants?
I feel more alert without them. Kind of perky.
And your boss doesn't mind?
She suggested it.
He wouldn't be interested. He wouldn't be interested. He wouldn't be interested. He wouldn't be interested. She wouldn't have been interested. It was one of Conchita's posse of hunks. It was a store cupboard.
Keep out of there. That's where the explosives are stored.
It was Conchita, the owner of the mining company. A disgustingly handsome man. I couldn't understand why the female owner had surrounded herself with men like this. The guy was working away like an automaton. Are you looking forward to the eclipse of the sun?
Not especially. Are you?
I don't know. I've never seen one. All I know about eclipses is that you shouldn't try to view them with the naked eye.
Please, go away and let me get on with my work.
Ever heard of a guy called Karzak?
Can't you see I'm busy? If I don't finish this stock report, the boss will be mad as hell.
Ever hear of a guy called Karzak?
No, sir.
Did you know there's an eclipse of the sun in a few weeks' time?
Yeah, Joe told me about it. He's having a party and we're all invited. Me and the boys are dressing up as evil monks.
Yeah? Cool. Ever heard of a guy called Karzak?
No.
Do you know anything about the eclipse?
Yes, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I heard it's going to be pretty spectacular.
It's in a few weeks' time, isn't it?
9 days.
Thanks. Labano tells me he's been seeing a lot of you.
We meet sometimes for lunch, a drink. After you'd gone back to the States, I was pretty lonely, you know.
Lonely? You must have been desperate. Couldn't you just visit the zoo or something? Would you like a biscuit?
Gourmet dog? Have you been eating those things, Georges?
Sure, they're great. Guess what this is? Go on, guess.
It's wrought iron, probably from a chimney stack on an old stove.
Well, I suppose it could be. How did she know that?
My grandfather used to work in a foundry.
Take a look at this, Nico.
That's disgusting, Georges. Why are you carrying it around with you?
I don't know. I just can't seem to part with it. Take a look at this.
An eclipse of the sun. Why the sudden interest in astronomy?
I found the cutting in Ubier's house.
Apparently, it's only visible from Central America.
Take a look at this.
Mon Dieu! Where did you get that kind of money?
It's not mine. I found that statement at Ubier's house. Do you have any theories about this stone?
I think that design represents a dog, a Mexican dog.
So, this is the sacred Chihuahua stone? Sheesh. I had nothing else to talk about. A couple of musicians stood watching life go on around them. They looked pretty depressed. The guy was selling fish. The woman had an impressive display of gourds. The guy wasn't showing much enthusiasm selling his wares. It was an armed guard looking after the barrier. It was an uninteresting little wooden hut with an armed goon outside it. I recognized the woman immediately. Last time I'd seen her was in a market in Syria. It was Pearl Henderson, the globe-trotting bargain hunter.
George Stobbart, well, of all the...
Mrs. Henderson! Boy, this is some coincidence, huh?
When you've been married to a fruitcake like Dwayne as long as I have, you stop believing in coincidence.
I'd met Pearl and Dwayne on the other side of the globe in Syria. He was an army veteran who suspected he was working for the CIA, but wasn't sure. She was less obviously deranged. Is Dwayne here with you, Mrs. Henderson?
Why, sure, I couldn't leave him home alone. Since Dwayne came back from the war, we couldn't bear to be apart.
So, where is he now?
We ain't speaking.
Why aren't you speaking to Dwayne?
Because he's an old spoil sport sourpuss. I want to visit one of those old pyramid places, but Dwayne says he has to stay in town.
Right. And you don't want to go on your own?
Well, there's no point in going to the pyramid if there's no one around to take my picture.
Is Dwayne still working for the CIA?
If he is, he doesn't know it. He's what they call a snoozer.
Don't you mean a sleeper?
No, this is different. He used to think he worked for them, but the psychotherapy cured him of that. What he doesn't realize is that now he really does work for them. At least that's the way I understood it.
What brings you to Quaramonte, Pearl?
What takes me just about anywheres. The market.
You drove 2,000 miles to go shopping?
Shopping is my role in the economy of the Great Design, George.
What do you make of this stone, Pearl?
Oh, that's pretty. What's that thing supposed to be, a rabbit?
I believe it's a coyote.
Well, it sure is cute.
I was surprised she didn't ask me where she could buy one. What does this mean to you, Pearl?
What cute little feathers. Why, if you had two of those, they'd sure make nice earrings.
This isn't intended for frivolous personal adornment, Pearl. It's a dart, tipped with a fast-acting, muscle-numbing poison.
Pardon me, I stand corrected, honey.
Sometimes I get the feeling that communication with Pearl was like sending signals out into space. Maybe, if you waited long enough, you'd get an intelligent answer back. But it was a long shot. What do you make of this statue, Pearl?
Hoo-wee, that's a spitting image of Dwayne's brother Sheridan. A little less body hair, maybe, but it's him all right.
Look at this, Pearl. A tequila worm.
Don't you bring that thing anywhere as near me, honey. I swear I'll scream like a hog on a hot plate.
Take a look at this news cutting, Pearl.
You'll have to read it to me, George. I left my specs in a gay bar in Santa Barbara.
Well, it's about an eclipse of the sun, which is due to occur in a few weeks' time.
You'd think the government would warn us about these kind of things.
It's not dangerous or anything. Apparently, the best place to view the eclipse is right here in Quaramonte.
Oh, my.
She didn't appear to be the slightest bit interested.
Catch you later, Pearl. Hey, Nico!
I have done just as I have been instructed, Professor. With the mine closed down, there'll be no one around to observe your excavations. Ah, I have visitors.
Just remember what I told you, General. There's really no need to make a martyr out of that man.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Senor. Welcome to Quaramonte.
Thanks. My name's George Stobbart from California.
But what is this? An angel come down to earth.
Nicole Collard. Enchanté, mon général.
Pardon me, senorita, but I couldn't help myself.
Look, we'd like to ask you a few questions.
You've come to the right place, senor. Tourist information. General Graciento, at your service.
This is the tourist office? It says police on the sign outside.
It is both, senor. I am a man of many parts.
I can see that, General.
Have you heard of a guy called Karzak?
No? No, I never heard of him.
Are there any ruins around the city?
Of course, senor. Quaramonte has everything.
I have a friend who wants to visit an historical site.
Ronaldo will only be too pleased to conduct a guided tour. When he's dealt with today's paperwork, of course.
Who was the guy you were talking to when we arrived?
Professor Ubier, a visitor, senor, like yourselves.
Did you say Ubier?
Si, senor. Professor Ubier, a French archaeologist.
What's Ubier doing in Quaramonte?
Researching our rich and glorious past, senor. The professor is planning an expedition to some Mayan ruins. He came to see me to get an excavation permit.
Would you like a biscuit?
Are you trying to bribe me?
Well, every man has his price.
Mine is more than a dog cookie, Senor Stobbart.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
That's a native carving, isn't it? Where did you get it?
We picked it up in the market as a souvenir.
What do you think of these panties, General?
Oh boy, fabuloso!
They're yours if you'll tell me all you know about Karzak.
I told you, I never heard of the guy. Do I get the panties now? I told you all I know.
You told me nothing. Take a look at this label.
Si, senor. Condor Transglobal.
Can you tell me where to find their offices?
No, senor. I never heard of them, and neither did Ronaldo.
The lady at the mining company told us a ship belonging to Condor was here recently.
Conchita Garcia is crazy. If there had been a ship, do you think I wouldn't have noticed?
Are you sure you never heard of Condor?
Oh, yes.
The company is registered here in Quaramonte City.
You are mistaken, senorita.
Condor is run by Karzak, isn't it?
Wrong again, senor. Karzak has nothing to do with anything called Condor, whoever he is.
Do you keep a record of companies registered in Quaramonte?
Of course, senorita. Unfortunately, all the records were destroyed by a flash flood.
Do you know anything about the forthcoming eclipse, General?
Such things do not interest me, senor.
I'll be back. It was General Graciento, Quaramonte's reigning slime ball. It was a computer monitor with some kind of outdated game displayed on it. The television was showing what appeared to be a low-budget soap. A tall man with long blonde hair was shouting at a woman who was naked apart from a towel. A safe was tucked under the desk. The safe was undoubtedly locked. A couple of special offer letters were strewn across the desk. I had no need for junk mail, especially someone else's.
Senor. Leave the child alone.
He had the eyes of a cocker spaniel set in a face like a deflated souffle. I couldn't help wondering what had driven him to work for a man like the General. Hi, I'm George Stobbart.
Hello, senor. How can I help you?
Are there any ancient pyramids near Quaramonte?
Si, senor. But it's not very impressive. It's in ruins.
That's perfect. Would you be willing to give a guided tour of the ruins?
I can't. The General would have a fit if I left all this paperwork.
Would you like a gourmet dog snack biscuit?
I would love one, senor. But I would have a problem with my teeth.
Toothache?
No, senor. If the General catches me eating on duty, he'll knock them out.
Do you recognize this statue?
Tezcatlipoca. The night wind. Take it away, senor. That stone is cursed.
You know anything about this eclipse?
No, senor. El General keeps me in the dark about most things.
So long. A filing cabinet stood in the corner. The filing cabinet was probably locked. I wasn't going to try investigating the passage while the General was sat there. I wasn't going to... Do you have a map of Quaramonte?
A map? I'm sorry, senor, but I don't.
What about the one on the wall?
Ah, that is an archaeological survey map, senor. Not suitable for tourists.
I'll be back. I had no need for junk mail, especially someone else's.
Why did you show him the stone?
I thought maybe he might know something about it.
Well, he does now, for sure. He knows we have it.
Did you notice that chart on the police station wall?
Yes, it looked like a map to me, but I couldn't make out the details.
Whatever it was, the General didn't want us to see it. You came on a little strong with the General.
I was merely flattering his ego, George. Every man has his Achilles heel.
Maybe, but that guy's weakness isn't in his foot. That man we saw talking to the General was Oubier. Didn't you recognize him?
I never met him, remember? The guy I called in Paris claimed to be Oubier, but he sounded nothing like the man in the police station. Maybe the professor really is innocent.
Nah, it's too much of a coincidence that he's here in Quaramonte.
If you enjoyed that video, please like and subscribe for more. Or consider checking out one of the related playlists on the channel.